Hi everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Money Moves. I'll talk about the main thing that drove the market this week. I will talk about this week's price action on SPY. Then I'll go over the normal happenings of my various accounts like Lending Club, Worthy Bonds, Fundrise, my M1 Retire account, and my Higher Yield Savings account. And of course, I'll go over my overall positions. As always, there will be some jelly at the end, which is something I enjoyed outside of the markets. If you have big dreams like owning a Koenigsegg Agera RS, or if you're just getting started on your financial journey, definitely like and subscribe. The Agera RS holds the current world record for 0 to 250 miles an hour and then back down to 0 in just 36.4 seconds. It originally went on sale for $2.5 million, but most of those sell for around $6.5 million today. To keep your dreams at the front of your mind, like and subscribe. Welcome to the Portfolio Bulletin. Let's get started. So first up, the non-farm payrolls came out, and we gained 4.8 million jobs in June, reducing the unemployment rate to 11.1%. This is far better than was expected. And because of that, the market rallied. It says here economists were expecting 2.9 million jobs and an unemployment rate of 12.4%, which is similar to the 2.7 million in May. Of course, President Trump mentioned this, saying that the economy is coming back strongly. Just to put this in perspective, you can see here in March we lost 1.4 million jobs. In April, we lost 20.8 million jobs. And then May, we gained 2.7 million jobs, and in June, we gained 4.8 million jobs. So we're still down quite a lot of jobs, almost 12 million jobs to be specific. So we're not quite out of the woods yet, but the jobs are coming back faster than expected. And that's really highlighted by the fact that 1.427 million Americans filed for unemployment, which is above the estimate of 1.38 million. So jobless claims are still higher than expected, even though the jobs being created is also higher than expected, which really just speaks to the overall volatility in the economy right now. So here's another chart that shows the jobless claims. You can see in April, we reached a peak of 14.7%, and then we are slowly trailing down to 11.1%. But again, these numbers are still way higher than they were before. In March, we saw a little uptick, but in February, we were below 4%. And to further illustrate the point that we are not out of this yet, the permanent job losses went from 588,000 to 2.883 million jobs. These are jobs that are potentially gone forever. The rest of this article goes into detail on what jobs were gained. It says that retail gained quite a few jobs, as well as education and health, and manufacturing also went up. And it mentions that the jobs gained were split between full and part-time positions. In terms of price action for this week, it was very straightforward. At the start of the week, we were right around 300 for SPY. And then we basically went straight up from there all the way up, peaking right around 315. And then we dipped right back down to 313, finishing the week at 313.03. All right, let's move on to Lending Club. So this account is down actually a little bit. Last week, it was at 9.1%, and it was a little bit over $17,700. So I had a few notes go into default, but still a great return at 8.9%. So looking at the details here, you can see I have $275 currently waiting to be issued, almost $17,000 in current notes. And then you can see here all of the different payments and their various conditions. So I had some notes go into grace period this week, and my overall account value is closer to $18,000. But again, these overdue notes are not likely to receive much cash, and they will most likely be charged off. Going into my note breakdown, you can see all the different sections and the percentages listed here. You can tell I've had this account a long time because I have F and E notes. These haven't been a thing for quite a while. And then D notes went away recently. So all that remains is A, B, and C notes if you were to invest today. And then clicking here on term, you can see that the vast majority of my notes are in 60-month notes. And I think that's a major reason that my returns are so good. My average weighted return is 16.65%. And that would be my return if nobody defaulted. But of course, that's not the case. Moving over to my IRA account, this one actually went up in percentage, and we are currently sitting at 27%. Honestly, I don't know what to say about this anymore. I didn't think it would stay this high for this long, but I'll continue to keep investing the same way I have been. Going into the details, you can see I did have a few notes go into grace period, but that didn't overcome the gains from this week. I still have a couple of notes that are late, but overall this account is continuing to do well. As you can see, I don't have any E or F notes in this account because it is much newer, and that's a big part of why it's doing so well for now. Most accounts tend to do really well in the beginning, and then as they get later into the terms, you see a few more defaults by percentage. That hasn't been quite the case yet, but I'm sure it will happen. Moving into terms, this one is much more in 36 months, and that's because I moved this account from another IRA into this account, so I wanted to get it invested quickly, and I didn't want to wait until there were 60-month loans for the entire account. So I took what was available while still trying to maximize 60-month loans. And I will continue to focus on those into the future. Moving on to worthy bonds, this position continues to grow consistently, and I didn't add any money to it this week. As you can see here, I'm still making a little over $10.39 each week in my large account. On my small account, I'm only making about 22 cents a week, and that's on $260. If you're interested in an asset-backed investment that yields 5%, there is a link in the description to get you one free bond when you sign up. And remember that these bonds are fully liquid, so you could just withdraw that money at any time. Moving on to Fundrise, you can see my returns went up pretty dramatically. My net total returns are $965, and they assess this at the end of each quarter. So since the third quarter started on July 1st, they reassessed my account, and because of that, I received almost $300 in appreciation. I haven't yet received my dividend for this quarter, but when I do receive it, I will do a much more thorough look at second quarter for Fundrise. Taking a look at my performance, you can see the Q2 results for the various different REITs. They did have some REITs that went negative this quarter, but most of them were still positive. Another negative one here, but overall I received 1.8% returns for the second quarter, which means year to date I received 2.3%. Moving on to account value, you can see here it continues to go up. And then right at the rollover of the quarter, you can see that addition of all of that appreciation. And usually it takes them about a week or two to pay out their dividends. So I'll be sure to update you when that comes out. Moving into my M1 Retire account, you can see here this account is back into the green. Over the past week, you can see it was a slow climb up. And then over the last 2 days, it's been pretty flat. But overall this week, we saw a 1.2% growth, which is pretty similar to what the S&P 500 did. In terms of activity, I received some dividends this week, and you can see here I added a little bit of money, and that's because M1 Finance will not reinvest your money unless you have at least $25 to invest. So I put in a little bit of money here to get it over that $25 mark, and then it reinvested those dividends. Moving over to my higher yield savings account, you can see over the week I did gain 1%, and overall I am up almost 9% in this account. I contributed to this one much more heavily during the downturn, so it makes sense that it's up quite a bit more than my other account, but over the week it's up a little bit less than my other account, which again makes sense because this account is less volatile due to the amount of bonds that I own in this account. For this account, I decided I wanted to have it right around $14,000. And because of that, I deposited $200 this week. And I also deposited a smaller amount in order to get those dividends reinvested. So I had the $200 deposited here, and then I had some purchases here, and then I received another dividend. So at the beginning of next week, I'm going to have to bring this value up to the $25 to ensure that it gets reinvested. In terms of my holdings, I still want to reiterate that I'm sitting on quite a bit of short-term government bonds, and I'm waiting to see if the market drops based on the resurgence of the Rona. If we do see any kind of market drop, I will sell these bonds and reinvest them into the markets. But even if we don't see a market drop, these bonds are still doing their job by retaining their value and holding off inflation. I want to talk briefly about M1 Borrow. This is an account that M1 Finance gives you once you have an investment account value of over $10,000. And you can see here, this one is linked to my higher yield savings account. And since I have that account over $10,000, they allow me to borrow 33% of it. So my credit limit is almost $5,000, you can see here. based on the $14,000 account value I just showed you. And because I'm an M1 Plus member, this allows me to borrow at a 2% interest rate. That's really the best rate that you're going to find anywhere. And it's also on par with inflation. So it's almost like free money. And the reason that they can do an interest rate that is so low is because they're using the collateral in your investment account to ensure that you pay it back. And if you don't, they will take that money out of your investment account. Also, if your investment account falls too low, then you will be margin called to ensure that M1 Finance gets their money. But if used effectively, it allows you to borrow money at the lowest rate that I've seen anywhere. Taking a look at my overall holdings, you can see I have quite a bit less cash this week than I did last week. And that's because I moved some of that money over into my trading accounts to attempt to build an active strategy. We'll see how that works out, but this is an active strategy and it's definitely not for everyone. And you can see that cash movement reflected here. My stock positions went up, my bond positions also went up, Lending Club went down just a little bit, but REITs also went up, and then my cash went down pretty dramatically. That cash isn't gone, it's just in my trading account, and most of it is still sitting in cash as I work through how I'm going to build this program. And with that, let me know in the comment section below if you have any questions or if you have any thoughts on my current positions. Definitely like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Of course, this is all for entertainment purposes. This is not financial advice. And with that, let's get to the jelly. So today's jelly is the 1000 rocket bike. I've done a jelly from this guy before, and he does a lot of things with fireworks, and he always makes creative ways to make them entertaining. He's also a little bit of a kooky character, and that is well on display in this video. So here's what a 1000 rocket bike looks like.
Current first channel is at 5 million subscribers, so I've made this bicycle that will launch 1,000 rockets. Let's get it loaded up! Look at that! Not sure how good an idea this was now I'm looking at it. Oh, this is interesting. Let's light her up! Oh, I need my safety gear. Safety precaution. Got my sponge man. Put a bit of tape on the back. Let's fix him off. So there we are. Just gotta wait for it to get dark now. Subscribers, 1,000 rocket bike. Here we go. 3,
As you can tell, he's a little bit crazy, but he makes a good product, and it's definitely really entertaining and very funny. And with all the different camera angles they got, it made for a great video. Let me know down in the comments section if you would ride that bike. There is a link in the description if you want to watch the full video. Again, like and subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day.